Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Season Dialogue. I am so happy to be here. I want to give a shout out to 4 people who have listened in to the podcast. We got some new listeners. B Baddie 88. She found me on Instagram, the Season Dialogue page on Instagram, and she said, the page let her hear. So thank you so much for being here. D Regine, thank you so much for your comments, and thank you for just allowing me your ears. Vanessa Lachelle, hey girl, hey. She said that don't dim your light. The episode about not dimming your light really resonated with her, and she connected to it. So I'm glad that you heard something that was just so good for your spirit. And then Crystal Clear, hey girl. I think I see her on TikTok. So thank you for bridging over from TikTok to the Season Dialogue podcast. So you'll hear me say a lot and speak a lot about intentions. And intention was the word for this year. And so I am being very intentional about being intentional about the way I show up. And so it leads me to today's episode. And so I asked the question, what does your life say about you? If everything ended today, what would your life say about you? And I think about this. Now, this has been something that's been steady on my brain for about 2 or 3 days, but it's so crazy that things come together, right? So last night I did a live with an older woman in the community, and we were talking back and forth, and she said she always wanted to make sure that everything that she did, she put her hands in something so that when it's that time to slow down, she never has any regrets, that she went full speed into the things that she wanted to do, and that when she got tired and she rested. And so that for me came full circle for all of the things that I had been thinking about for the last 2 or 3 days, and being intentional about the way in which I show up for myself, for others, and just things that I want to do in my life. But if this life was cut short, what would you have to show for what you're doing right now? Meaning, are you in the job that you enjoy? Are you doing the hobbies that you want to do? Whatever it is that you wanted to add in, taking a class, fitness. Did you operate on it? Did you say that you weren't going to do it? I don't think that it's too much to think about life in the terms of understanding and recognizing that we're not here for a long time, and that we have to make the best of it. And I think also with intentional thinking, it is really regarding our focus on making sure that we are connecting with good, solid people. I don't want to go into life with being around messy people, or being around people who don't want to, get their lives together. I want people that are going to feed into me, and that I can also feed into them as well. People who have a clear focus, and maybe if they don't, that they are receptive to being challenged and moved, but not those who have no desire to, live in abundance or live in ways in which shows their growth. More importantly, as I think about it, I think about my children, and always wanting to show up intentional about the way that I just teach them or show up in their lives, that they get to see the aspect of a woman because they are boys. And for them to know that every woman is not moody, every woman is not attitudey, that I can sit in the position and listen to them when they have something that they are going through, or that it's just a problem, that they don't have to always go to their dad for advice, that even in a womanistic view, that I can give insight, even me understanding and operating that I as a woman don't understand the dynamics of a man and a boy, but if the advice is needed, that I could give intentional information to guide them through. So these are the very seats that I sit in when I think about my life. And if it ended tomorrow and I had to look back at my life from, 0 to 40, would I be pleased? And I'm going to honestly tell you, no. It's other things that I want to put my hands in. It's other things that I desire to have. And so by understanding and also walking with intention and making the goals happen, I feel more at ease that I'm actually working towards something. It also makes me think about relationships and connections that we are in, where maybe the dynamic changed between the connection, the relationship, or maybe that there was a disconnect that was fueled by anger. What are we going to do in this lifetime to mend it? So as I'm thinking about this, there's different ways and going about different situations, because y'all know situations can be a little tricky. But I always think to myself that I owe people grace the way that they owe me grace. So even thinking about situations where me and a person may have separated due to just, growth, I still honor their presence, and I understand that they taught me a lesson, not necessarily bad, but I know that there was something that they were giving to me. Now, if a situation or a connection was ended due to anger, for me in this life, and everybody's different, but I'm just speaking on my perspective. For me, I'd want to mend it. It doesn't mean that I'm allowing them to come back in my life, but for me, it's a soothing of my soul and my spirit, that I'm not holding on to anger. So as far as we are concerned, we may have had a disagreement or argument that was just too much, that called for a separation. But know that inside of me, I have no ill feelings or no ill anything towards you, and that my soul is at ease because I have mended that brokenness with you. What does your life show about you? Are you intentionally moving towards a place where you can show up better, or are you kind of still in a spot where you're trying to figure out how you need to move and how you need to prepare for the next moment in your life? And if you're there, that's okay. That's okay. But think about it still in the dynamic of where you want to be months from now, years from now. What is the life in which you are engaging saying about you? And even with saying that, we have to be aware again of ourselves and how we show up to other people. If you have an issue with being a listener and being receptive to information that would assist and help you, then maybe this is the time to see yourself in a space in which you are now receptive to hearing. Because many times when people are talking to us and giving us good feedback, also known as constructive criticism, many people in many places in their life take constructive criticism as a dig. Baby, it's not a dig. They're helping you to get to the place in which you are, and especially the people that love you. They are reciting and connecting with you so that you can show up a little bit better. So self-awareness has to also be a part of this conversation. How are you appearing? How are you showing up? How are you now? That if it all ended today, because I think about this too, y'all. I think about this too. I hope this is not too morbid, but this is really true. Hopefully, everyone has attended a funeral, and people get up and they talk about how great this person was, what they did, how they served in the capacity of their life, little stories and tidbits about the connection. And what would people say about you? And it's so funny because we all know of someone who's left this, place, and you got to dig out some good things about them, because it's a funeral and you want to, speak, positive over their life. But we all know people you had to dig a little bit and get a little positive aspect. But when the funeral was over and everybody went back to their respective places, it was like, so-and-so, they was horrible, they was mean, they did this, they did that. Would your life reflect that? Think about that. Would your life reflect that? How are you connecting with others? How are you being with others? How are you even showing up for yourself? I always say, it's never too late to hone into something that you want to. It's never too late to grab what it is that you feel is going to just make you happy, is going to help you grow, and personally is going to put you in a place in which you feel greatness. But we miss the opportunities when we don't take them. We miss parts of our newfound selves when we don't step into it. And we miss the availability when we don't walk into the open spaces. So today I just want you to think about, how you want to show up in your life right now. How would you objectively, concretely, honestly, look at your life right now? Are you satisfied, or do you need a little bit more fine tuning? And listen, for a lot of us, that's where we are. A little bit more fine tuning. There will never be perfection, but if you wrote down a list of things that you wanted to do, is it over half of completing, or are you not even halfway there? Think about it in that perspective, in that dynamic. Sometimes looking at things helps us really relate to what it is that we're trying to figure out. Anytime that I am, thinking about goals, I write it down and I do a check and assessment. And if I ain't got there yet, that means I can't check and assess it. And that means I ain't putting in the time nor the effort to getting those things done. So maybe, writing down the to-dos and the things that we want to do will show us where we are and where we need to get to. Again, no one is perfect. No one is perfect. But in order for us to be somewhat perfect in the way in which we show up for ourselves and we live in this lifetime, we got to do some things that are going to make us happy. I told y'all I wasn't going to be long today. I just want us to just walk into this present moment with intentional thinking, intentional moves, intentional connections, and really thinking about our life as if tomorrow is not promised. And I know that sounds so scary on the surface, but y'all, we got to be real about this life. How are we making an impact on others around us? I want to be a great mom. I want to be a great wife. I want to be a great friend to people around me. The same energy that I have with my children, my husband, and my friends are fluent, right? Now, I may show up different ways, in their lives, because as a mother, you got to be a little stricter, and you got to be a little settled and all knowing and helping. And with being a wife, you walking in all kinds of little elements, but I still got to be loving and accepting, and I have responsibility to my husband. And also with my friends, I have to be open and receptive, being a listening ear, having fun, but across the board, I need the same adjectives to match up with who I am. And I want to be that type of person. So now I ask you, who do you want to be to others that matter in your life? Think about that. Think about that for the weekend. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sitting in this space with me. Thank you so much for just listening. I do get the feedback from the podcast, from the listeners, returning listeners. Y'all, I get the whole rigmarole. So I'm very blessed that you guys are continuing to listen and you're continuing to be engaged. Share, episode if you have a friend or a family member that needs to hear something. Tune them in to Seasoned Dialogue. Let it be a blessing to them. Just give them something to listen to. All right, y'all, I'm about to close it out, and I will see you next week. All right, peace.